Hello, Alan.
Hello, Miss Letty. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I have got you again so that you do a little bit of reading because,
Well, looking forward to seeing how this story progresses.
yes, so it's one way to get you to read in English because you're not really a person who's aficionated to reading. You prefer to do other activities. So you come and help me, and also you do a bit of reading. So let's
Okay.
remind our viewers, what's the name of the story? It's called, Alan?
My cousin Rachel, yes, my cousin
And do you
Rachel.
remember the author? The author is Daphne.
Sorry?
Do you remember the author?
Daphne du Maurier.
That's it. So we've got that one learned, haven't we? My Cousin Rachel by Daphne du Maurier. And
Yes,
she's from Cornwall, where you used to live.
where I
So
used to live, yeah.
we're going now with chapter 7. So let's see how the story
Sure.
continues. Off you go.
Okay. This is chapter 7, A Strange Conversation. The following day was Saturday. I paid the men their wages, as Ambrose had always done. But Tamlin, the head gardener, was not here. I was told that he was in the garden somewhere with the mistress. I found them putting new plants into the ground. I've been here since 10:30, my cousin Rachel said with a smile. These are some of the plants Ambrose and I found in Italy. I had put them into the ground quickly. Tamlin has been helping me. And I've learnt a lot of things this morning, Mr. Philip, Tamlin said. Mrs. Ashley knows far more about plants than I do. After lunch, I took my cousin Rachel around the estate. She sat on a quiet horse and I walked beside her. She wore a black dress and a black shawl around her head. She looked very proud and very Italian, not like an Englishwoman at all.
Right. To help our beginners, I will explain a few words. For example,
Yes.
Shawl is a piece of cloth we put round our shoulders in case we're a little bit cold. So that is a shawl. And also, when this book is set in the 18th century, people wore black a lot after someone died in the family. They could wear it, I don't know, maybe all the rest of their life, or especially for a few years, no? So
Yeah.
she is wearing black because her husband died, who is Ambrose. Ambrose was her husband. And she's a very keen gardener. That means she likes gardening a lot. So she is now making a new garden there in England. To my surprise, my cousin Rachel knew the name of every field and farm on the estate. As I walked by her side, she began to talk about the gardens of my cousin Rachel's villa. When I was married to my first husband, she said, I was not happy, so I spent my time planning the garden of Villa Serengeti. I would like you to see them, Philip. I looked up in surprise. Didn't my cousin Rachel know that I had been to Florence and seen the villa? I thought my godfather had told her in his letter. I began to speak, but the horse moved on and it was too late. I was very quiet on the way home. After dinner, we sat down together by the library fire. My cousin Rachel was sewing. I smoked my pipe and washed her hands, moving quickly. They were small, white, and she wore 2 rings on her fingers. Something is the matter, Philip, she said at last. What is worrying you? Did my godfather tell you that I had been away? No. So we must pay attention to the little details, because the first thing I thought when I was reading this paragraph now is that maybe she has a problem with her memory, because she doesn't remember that Philip has been to Italy. So maybe I'm mistaken and maybe I'm not, but we should always take into account certain clues when you're reading a book.
I didn't hear of Ambrose's death from Signor Rainaldi's letter, I said slowly. I found about it in Florence from your servants. My cousin Rachel gave me a long, strange look. You went to Florence, she said. When? For how long? I was in Florence for only one night, the night of the 15th of August, I said. The sewing fell from my cousin Rachel's hands. But I left Florence only the day before. Why didn't you tell me this last night? I thought you knew, I answered awkwardly. I want you to tell me why you went to Italy, Philip, my cousin Rachel said. I put my hand in my pocket and felt the letters there. I had not heard from Ambrose for a long time. I said. As the weeks went by, I grew worried. Then in July, a letter came, a very strange letter. I showed it to Nick Kendall. He agreed that I should go to Florence at once. As I was leaving, there was another letter. I had them both in my pocket. Do you want to see them?
Right. So here the word sewing means that we take a needle and we use some thread to do some sewing. And also a pocket is something that we have on our clothing, which is normally this shape, and we put something inside our pocket, right? So we have pocket as well here. So everything's getting a little complicated. So pocket is part of our clothing, in a jacket or a pair of trousers, and we can put something in our pocket. And it was normal at this time, when the book is set, that women used to sit at night sewing. They could be sewing some socks because they've got a hole in, or they could be fixing something that was broken. Alan, do you know the name of the activity when you are sewing the socks because they've got a hole in?
Darning.
That's it. It came to my head just then. So I was wondering if you remembered darning, right? Yes. So normally they had like...
I used to darn socks night after night.
Really?
We don't bother these days. We throw them away and we buy a new pair.
Right. So we can imagine like a piece of wood, I think, you would put
like
inside your sock.
Mushroom.
A mushroom, no? Okay. And you put it inside your sock. Yes. And then you'd find it easier to sew. That's and right. To darn the hole in the sock. Yes. So it just came into my head then, because I think people used to do that. Not yet. Tell me what you did in Florence. I went to the Villa Scanetti. When I asked for Ambrose, the servant told me he was dead. He had gone away. They showed me the room where Ambrose had died and gave me his hat. It was the only thing you had left behind. My cousin Rachel sat very still. Now, very still means that she didn't move, right? So here the word she sat very still means that she didn't move. Go on, she said quietly. I went back to Florence to Signor Rendali, and I told him about Ambrose's illness. He did not know where you were. I left for England the following day. There was silence, and then my cousin Rachel said, May I see the letters now? She read them over and over again. At last she handed them back. Then my cousin Rachel looked deep into my eyes. How you must have hated me, Philip, she said. At that moment, I felt that my cousin Rachel knew everything. She knew everything I had been thinking about her all these months. Yes, I have hated you, I said slowly. So there is an expression. The cat is out of the bag. So what do I mean about that? If I say to you, Alan, the cat is out of the bag.
Well, all is revealed now. There's nothing is held back. The truth has now come out into the open.
So there are no secrets. So can we imagine a cat and it's inside the bag? So the cat is like a symbol of a secret or something that is hidden. And if the cat comes out of the bag, all is revealed. I think that's a good saying here, no? So the cat is out the bag, and Rachel knows that he was not very pleased with her. He even hated her.
Then why did you ask me here? To accuse you of breaking his heart, perhaps. A kind of murder. I wanted to make you suffer, to watch you suffer. You have your wish, she said. Her face was very white and her dark eyes were full of tears. I stood up and looked away. I had never seen a woman cry before. Cousin Rachel, go upstairs, I said, but she did not move. I took the letters from her hands and threw them in the fire. I can forget, I said, if you will too. Look, the letters have burnt away. We can both remember what Ambrose wrote, my cousin Rachel replied. But it's better if I say nothing more. I cannot explain. Let me stay until Monday. Then I will go away. Then you can either forget me or go on hating me. At least we're happy today, Philip. But I do not hate you now, I said. I hated somebody I had never met. Even before those letters came, I hated Ambrose's wife because I was jealous. Ambrose is the only person I have ever loved. You took him away from me, and I was jealous of you. Love can do strange things to people.
Yes. So we have to understand that Philip was very close to Ambrose because Ambrose brought Philip up when he became an orphan. So they had a very close relationship. So that's why he was jealous. Can we explain the meaning jealous, or is it too difficult?
It's an envy, something you wish you had but haven't got it, basically.
Right. So normally we feel jealousy when it's related to love. And envious, maybe, I think, is more a material thing that you want. And jealousy is that you are in awe of somebody who's taking your place or is in the middle, no? So jealousy for people and envy for material things. So that's why Philip felt jealousy, because he felt that the wife had taken away his dear Ambrose. I know that, my cousin Rachel answered. Love did strange things to Ambrose too. He was 43 when we met and fell in love. He was like someone who had been asleep all his life. His love was so strong. It was too strong for me and too strong for him. It changed him, Philip. What do you mean? I asked. Something in me made Ambrose change, she replied. Sometimes I made him happy. Sometimes I made him sad. Then he became ill. You were right to hate me, Philip. If Ambrose hadn't met me, he would be alive today. She looked at me and smiled sadly. Perhaps I was jealous of you too, Philip, she said. He was always talking about you. Sometimes I grew very tired of hearing your name. She stopped talking and picked up her sewing. If you wish, we can talk again tomorrow, my cousin Rachel said. Then on Monday I shall leave. Nick Kendall has invited me to stay in his house.
Right.
So here we can imagine this is the cousin Rachel and this is Philip. Off you go.
But I don't want to go, I said. There are so many things to do together. As I looked down at her, her eyes seemed to see through me and understand all of my thoughts. Light me a candle, she said. I must go to bed. Then she stood above me on the stairs, looking down at me. You don't hate me anymore, she asked. No. And are you still jealous of me, or is that forgotten too? My cousin Rachel laughed. I was never jealous of you, she said. I was jealous of a spoilt boy which I had never met. Suddenly she bent down and kissed me. Your first kiss, Philip, she said. I hope you like it. I watched her as she walked up the stairs away from me.